Good evening, YouTube. Tyre Metalhead Weatherman here. Hope you guys are doing well this evening. Well, so a lot to talk about in tomorrow's video, but tonight we're going to kind of keep it short. I'm going to talk a little bit about yesterday's enhanced risk and how it performed. I wouldn't have called it a typical enhanced risk anyway to begin with, truthfully, simply due to the fact that, well, let's be honest, it wasn't really a red letter day. We were looking more so towards maybe just a small corridor where the weather was going to be the most intense. And that did end up occurring. We have 9 tornado reports between Louisiana and Mississippi, especially towards southern Mississippi. I think that's where we saw the most activity. Good bit of wind reports there, but the real story actually started to become up towards the Ohio Valley, where we had a cold core set up, but we weren't really expecting a whole lot to occur with this. But we've had quite a few wind reports and also even some very strong wind reports. We got up to about 70 miles an hour in one of these regions here. This was during the time where that low started to really deepen or strengthen, as in the pressure started to drop basically pretty rapidly. And at that point, the wind started to gust out from that point. The low-level jet increased, and as a result, damaging winds populated over towards Illinois, parts of Missouri, and a small portion of western Kentucky here. It was a little bit of a surprise, but not unexpected. But a lot of this was probably something that was easily put out of the radar, so to speak, of a lot of meteorologists till the last minute. That being said, as far as the tornado reports last night were concerned, I've seen one report of an EF2 over towards Tangiapoa. I don't know how to pronounce that entirely. But that's where the strongest tornado seems to have occurred right now. And then we have a multitude of EF0 and a couple of EF1 reports. There's a couple of other reports that don't have ratings, but I'm expecting that to come in pretty shortly. We had one hail report in Texas, and then we had a multitude of damaging wind reports. A lot of down trees in this area in particular as well. So, that being said, yesterday was relatively active. Not what you would call a typical enhanced risk day. But given the parameters, I wouldn't call it an underperformer either. It was an in-betweener, I guess you could say. But anyway, when it comes to the wintry side of things, we're taking a look at the snowfall. We have a little pocket right here. Oh, and here's a rumble of thunder, by the way. It's raining over here right now, actually. We have a small pocket over here. We got up to about a quick 6 to 8 inches, maybe a little bit higher total, over towards the southeastern corner of Iowa and maybe the northeastern sliver of Missouri. Heaviest totals were towards southern Wisconsin, which is what we were pretty much calling for from the get-go. By the time it went up to towards Michigan, we started to really lose a lot with this. But as far as the northeast concerned, not a whole lot going there, and not a lot more to really be expected either. So that being said, we'll go ahead and take a look at our Friday forecast now. So we have a marginal risk for Friday across the southeast, the far southeast to be exact. We have a marginal risk issued across the Florida Panhandle, starting to sneak into the peninsula now. We're getting Tallahassee and Jacksonville in the picture. Far southern Georgia towards areas like Vidalia. We're taking a look at you guys. Savannah, you're in there as well. We're working our way up the Atlantic coast here. Charleston is just outside of this, but we're going to be keeping a close eye on you too, because this area could extend a little bit further northward. I'm a little bit doubtful on that, but we'll see what happens. It's mainly a tornado and wind-driven marginal risk. Parameters aren't really that impressive, but we'll go ahead and go over it anyway. And then on the wintry side of things, and we'll talk about that in a minute, I think we're going to be pretty quiet, but it's over towards the weekend that we have to start to keep a close eye on, because we could be seeing some heavy snow in places that are not used to it. But that being said, let's go ahead and start out by taking a look at Friday's temperatures. And this is a limited HRRR run because it's still in progress, as you can see right here. The data is still actually coming in. But this is what we're looking at as we get into Friday morning. It's about 7 a.m., I'd say. Cold front is kind of stalled out over here. There's going to be another cold blast that comes in later this weekend that will really spice things up a bit. But for the most part, over most of the country, we're going to be below average as we head into the weekend. And the warmest air is going to be stationed around where that southeast ridge that I've been talking about is located. And this, of course, persists all the way down into Florida, where we're even seeing some 80-degree temperatures. So that being said, let's roll this forward a bit. Try to keep the time frame in, of course. And getting to Friday afternoon, the temperature starts to drop around the southeast, and you start to see that cold air beginning to sneak in. And as we get into Friday night and into Saturday morning, that cold air is going to come in, but there's going to be an interesting little feature right here towards the Gulf. Nothing tropical, but it's going to have a little plume of moisture heading into the southeast throughout the weekend. And wherever this cold air interacts with that little bit of moisture, we could see some wintry precipitation. And the thing that we need to remember is Gulf of Mexico moisture is very rich. So if you can get cold air to interact with it, you can get some pretty heavy wet snow to fall with this. Doesn't make for big totals, but it can really cause a lot of problems. You could see some huge snowflakes. And this will be possible across the southeast as we head into the weekend. We'll go into further detail with that. Now let's go ahead and dive more so into the severe side of things. We saw where our warm sector was there. Pretty much stationed across a good portion of the southeast. Now here's our moist sector, and this is the key. This is one of the other key components that we'll need here. And as we move this forward, that moist sector is going to be persisting all throughout this region here. This is where the dynamics will end up being best. I'll mark that really quickly for you. This is a bad drawing, so forgive me for that. But I'd say right across here is what I will be watching. Roughly, I'd say. So, that being said, roll this forward here. And as we get further along into the day, look at this little pocket right here where we're getting above those 65-degree dew points. This is where our storm threat is most likely going to be strongest. I think we could trim this little drawing I made a little bit further south. I forget I had to clear the screen. That being said, we head into the afternoon. I'm definitely going to be looking towards this little pocket right here because we can even see a couple of 70-degree dew points. And as this persists, of course, we lose that moist sector as the front passes through. And then we'll start to see a little bit cooler temperatures for the southeast and really the eastern seaboard in general. So let's look at a quick parameter right here. We're going to mainly look at the Cape. Don't expect high numbers from this because it's not a lot of convection with this. Not a lot of energy available. Not even a lot of abundant warm air. So these air parcels aren't going to be super hot, I would say. I mean, there could be a little pocket right here where we get above 1,000 joules, and it looks like that's the case mainly towards the in-between area between the peninsula and the panhandle of Florida. We could get up to about maybe 1,100 joules per kilogram. And then, just as quickly as that area goes onshore, it's already out of here. But that's pretty much what we're dealing with there when we take a look at the overall view of things. Like I said, not a whole lot going on here. It's a little bit of additional snow maybe expected towards the UP of Michigan. We could get about another inch or two, but this is a fast-moving system. Not a whole lot really going on there. We have to watch for this next little small piece of energy that pops up here towards the panhandle of Texas, which is going to be the big topic of what ends up occurring over towards the weekend. You can see that little bit of energy starting to surge right here And this is right on that 540 line, by the way, which are freezing point. So I said it before in a previous forecast. Arkansas, we're going to be watching you for the increased threat of quick snow band popping up here. Right now, the NAM actually has this as rain, even though we're behind that 540 line. There might be a little pocket of warm air aloft towards the higher levels that we'll have to keep an eye on. But as time goes on, as we head towards the weekend, this is where our showers and storm activity is going to be the highest. Not really a whole lot there in regards to reflectivity for severe weather. We'll have to see if things uptrend a bit. I'm honestly doubtful because we're at it's at an awkward point in relation to this low pressure. And by the time that low pressure gets really close enough to become a factor, we lose the daytime heating. Moist sector is already pushed out of here, so I'm not expecting a whole lot out of this. I'll still be watching this little portion over here. I would still be watching this portion over here, but maybe for a quick spin up or some damaging wind gusts here and there. But I wouldn't be super concerned about it. But if there is a warning issued, of course, make sure you do your due diligence and find the proper shelter. But other than that, it's really the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. You found it useful. If you did, of course, drop a like. Always appreciate that. If you're new to the channel or if you've been watching for a bit and you haven't subscribed already, go on, hit the double click, like and subscribe. And of course, if you know anyone in these regions that could be seeing any sort of severe weather, of course, share the video too. But that's it for tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. This has been Ty, Metalhead Weatherman. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good night.